Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Spiritist Psychology Study Group for this first meeting in our new series, The Inner Journey, Find Your True Self. Here, we will explore life's big questions and connect with others on the path of self-discovery, based on the teachings of Joanna de Angelis. I'm Fabrício Assunção from the Joanna de Angelis Spiritist International. Here with us, our speaker, Dr. Anahy Fonseca. This evening, Anahy will delve into the book Challenge and Solutions by Joanna de Angelis, Chapter 1, Life, Definition, and Proposal. We will have time for your questions, and feel free to contribute with your insights, reflections, and questions. Now, a few words of introduction about Anahy. Dr. Anahy Fonseca is a psychiatrist and Jungian analyst who for 30 years has been working in psychotherapy, diagnosis, and research on the relationship between spirituality and mental health. She is a member of the Medical Spiritist Association of Brazil, where she teaches Spiritist psychology by Joanna de Angelis. I now hand it over to Anahy for her talk about life, definition, and proposal. Over to you, Anahy.
Thank you, Fabrício. So it's great to be with all of you again today, and many that are new to this group. But I'm quite sure that you all know Fabrício, so quite sure that everybody has had some contact with the teachings of our beautiful mentor, Joanna de Angelis. But if any of you have any doubts, during the PowerPoint presentation, if any of you have, difficulties, then you can raise your hands. And as Fabrício said, or I, we're going to try to answer during the presentation. But if it's okay for you, then you can wait, and then after the PowerPoint presentation, we will have, as Fabrício said, time for us to discuss. Just wanted to tell you something that before with the PowerPoint presentation, this introduction, it's so important because even if in other meetings you cannot be present like today, and are going to listen afterwards, or even if, during the presentation or in the questions and answers, you don't feel like opening the camera, it's okay. But one thing that it's very important that I know that it's never too much to to explain to people is that when we do this kind of study group, that we are studying something that comes to us from higher dimensions, higher spiritual dimensions. So there is a field of energy that connects all of us, right? All of us. And it doesn't matter space or time. Doesn't matter if we are far apart, if we are in different time, even, because this is the material world, and we will be studying and receiving intuitions, inspirations, energy from the spiritual realms in this kind of study group. So if you feel people during the study group, because this is kind of an advanced study group, right, Fabrício? We have been studying together now for 3 years, Fabrício? 3 or 4, is this the third year? And people that have some difficulties, for instance, with some of the concepts, Jungian concepts, because Joanna talks a lot about Jungian concepts, can go to Burnout Society YouTube channel, right, Fabrício? And all the different, from the beginning, especially the first year, all the concepts are there with different days, right, and studies that we have made. For instance, the concept of the self, collective unconscious, and so on and so forth. So, and even if it's wow, but that's I didn't understand earlier. I wanted to understand better. Then in questions and answer, you can ask. Don't be shy. You can ask, and many times people will say, "Oh, right," because that now I understand better. One of the concepts, for instance, the archetypes and things like that. But what I wanted to tell you, just to remind you people, we are all interconnected. That's something that it's in this time of changes, that the spiritist knowledge tells us, and many other spiritual traditions, that we are undergoing a moment, very precious moment in our collective consciousness, that we are going up. We are vibrating higher and we are evolving to a next step of our evolution in consciousness. Oh, but how can that be with so many awful things still going on in the world? So, for people that are studying Kardec teachings in Spiritist knowledge, that have been studying Joanna de Angelis, I'm quite sure you will understand if you're not, familiar to this concept, but you are going to understand little by little that it's necessary for all the shadow to be illuminated, all the shadow within us and collective shadow, because our own personal shadow collects to the collective shadow. So, in different societies, different countries, everything that is shadow in us vibrates very low. And we have to illuminate all these shadows. We have to integrate. That's a psychological and spiritual work that we are doing together. So let's have faith in this work. Let's have faith in Joanna's teachings, and let's join together this beautiful light teachings that Joanna brings to us, so we can all vibrate higher and help the collective to go to the next step of evolution. So I will share now my PowerPoint presentation. Just a second. Oh, I think it's in the end of the presentation. I'll just go back to the beginning. Just a second. Takes a while. Something is going on here. Just a moment. It never happened, right? Only when we need. So Fabrizio, here I have the first, right?
Yes, I can see the
PowerPoint.
first slides. Yes.
Yeah, so then when I put full screen, something happens. Let me try again. And it's doing like that when I put full screen.
Do not double click on the first slide because your cursor might be on the last one.
I'll do that again. Double click now here.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
first slide, if you click it twice so that your cursor is
Yeah,
on the
I
first
have done
slide.
that.
Yes. Okay.
And now I have to open it, but when I do that, it gets all black. Let me try again. If not, maybe I can do like that.
Okay.
Eh? I don't know what's going on.
If you click on the arrow to the left here, would that move all the way to the first one? There is an arrow on the left-hand side, on the left of the screen. Maybe you're right.
It's
Would that?
all it's all black. It's all black. It never happened. But we have since I was talking about the shadow, maybe the shadow is trying to play a trick on us. Yeah.
we can see
No.
we can see well like this. So don't worry.
Can you see well? The problem is it's going to be the recording,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
right?
Hmm.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I should have sent it to you, but I will try to while I move, then I'll try to make it bigger again, okay? But for now, I think we should just go on. So this is the study group, The Inner Journey, Finding Your True Self. It's a study inspired by the spirit Jonah de Angelis. The books are psychographed by Divaldo Pereira Franco. I will try to open this other one, Fabrizio.
Yeah, we have to manually click, and each time you want to move across, you have to do it manually. You have to click on the slide you want to present because it won't do automatically.
Yes, yes, let's go. Sorry, people. That's something for us to learn when we talk about the shadow. Beware. I am
Try
clicking.
to press F5.
Sorry?
Try to press F5. The button
I
F5.
F5. Okay. Just a second. I'll have some help here. My husband.
Hello.
Mhm. Hello, husband.
No, no, it's not going. Aqui,
Yeah.
here, here.
Anahy, you're on mute. Anahy, you're on mute.
Okay. Now it's all right? Is that okay, Fabrício? Are you
Yes.
listening to me? So something happened that the PowerPoint is in the end and I don't seem able to change. So we'll have to leave it like that, okay? But I think it's
Yeah, no,
okay. I think you can.
that's okay. We can read it, and it's you
Okay,
well presented.
okay. So I started with the introduction that you don't have in the text. that it's introduction of the book, Life, Challenges and Solutions. And the introduction, it's not translated, but I think it's very important for us to have an idea of what Joanna is talking about in this beautiful book. So the introduction, Joanna calls the miracle of life. And then she says, as much as the human mind asks questions about life in the current context of intellectual knowledge, it is still difficult to find adequate answers that enable it to grasp life's full meaning and significance. Some researchers have simplified life by reducing it to the absurdity of chance occurrences, devoid of any logic whatsoever, thereby doing away with any further concern about its magnitude. Others established it based on easily accepted mythological content, thanks to its supernatural and wondrous components. But the miracle of life, says Joanna, is much more complex than that. Regarding human life in particular, we can detect its genesis in the divine psyche, which conceived it and inspires it, providing it the energy with which it is nourished, and which propels its growth through the many reincarnations of the immortal spirit, also called the intelligent principle of the universe. Simple in its constitution, this intelligent principle liberates the complexities necessary for its growth, like a seed that becomes swollen in the benevolent heart of the soil in order to become the plant that it is meant to be, but which lies sleeping within. Ignorant about its destiny, the immortal spirit awakens to its own reality by means of intellectual and moral experiences that enable it to achieve plenitude. The spirit, in its initial simplicity, as a psyche, cannot perceive the pure spirit that lies silent in its inner being and which one day will sail the infinite rivers of immortality. This process of evolution, however, is characterized by challenges that become increasingly serious and significant as the spirit's faculties and discernment develop. The blooming of inner values is, in a certain way, agonizing in all living species. Living is a sublime challenge, and living wisely is a blessing that is available to all who resolve decidedly to advance, overcome personal limitations, and attain communion with the source of creation, or God, if you will. All proposals and solutions to existential challenges, says Joanna, of life depend on the effort, perseverance, and confident action of each person. Whatever cannot be achieved at one moment through wholesome persistence will be achieved at a later time, thanks to the invaluable endeavors of the different psychological approaches in general, and that of Spiritist psychology in particular. Excellent contributions have been put forth and are available to all those sincerely interested in constructing, a sound conscience, a lucid and responsible individual, and a thriving society. Don't we need that? So let's go ahead. And now in the chapter, I'm just going to tell you that since, well, for the recording, it will be okay. But since something happened here that even I or the help of my husband could find out what was going on, I will send the PowerPoint. Actually, I will put the PowerPoint presentation in the WhatsApp group, okay, Fabricio? So that everybody can take a look again in full screen or whatever. And because this introduction is not in the text that Fabricio put in the WhatsApp group. Okay, so it will be, all the PowerPoint will be there for you to see it again. So then this chapter that we're studying today, and most of you have already read, Joanna talks about life, definition, and proposal. So she says that good dictionaries define life as a set of properties and qualities thanks to which animals and plants, unlike dead organisms or raw matter, are maintained in continuous activity, manifested in organic functions such as metabolism, growth, reaction to stimuli, adaptation to the environment, and reproduction. Despite the various expressions for understanding life, it transcends the limits imposed by the deficiency of language, the poverty of form, and the manner of understanding its profound meaning, which hides it even from the eyes of the most attentive observers. Life reveals itself through its unique structures, which are interpreted differently by each scholar or analyst based on their individual perspectives and insights. The definition of life differs depending on prevailing philosophical perspectives or scientific approaches, as each individual bases their interpretation on distinct cultural foundations. This is very important, people, because each one of us will have a different perspective, at least in the beginning, when the ego is studying, like here, for instance, maybe a part of myself is saying, why would I have to talk about the shadow? And then the shadow constellates, as when we talk in Jungian terms, right? Because of course, for instance, one of our shadows, when we are talking with different people that we don't know, for instance, when we are insecure, for instance, of course, we are all connecting with Joanna, right, at this very moment. But it's not only a study group that it's only intellectual, as I was telling you in the beginning. It's all practice. So some of you, for instance, are in Spain. Some of you are in Portugal, as in when we were presenting each other with the awful storms, with climate problems, with life problems. And so many of us can be fearful in this moment, can be anxious. For instance, there were a lot of people here that we haven't had before in previous study groups. So, of course, many of you we already know, but let's give an example. So, who knows? Maybe one of the aspects that were in my own shadow at this very moment, and when we say shadow people, is in the concept of Carl Gustav Jung, okay? The opposite of the persona, the personal mask, right? that we all have to relate to the outside world, that the ego actually develops to adapt to the outside world, to the collective. So what Jung says, just for people that are here or maybe listening to this concept for the first time, is that everything that doesn't fit in this personal mask, let's say, right? The social mask, will be rejected, the ego will try to defend itself because it doesn't help my adaptation to the collective, to the outside world. And Jung says that everything that the ego rejects and denies will be like sent to the unconscious and will make like this region in the unconscious, this complex that he called the shadow, our shadow aspects. So for instance, very practical terms, if you know some maybe because I have seen a lot of friendly faces, and we are here in our third year and everything is okay because we have already connected with Joanna as we were talking, right? And so I was not feeling anxious, but maybe the anxiety was in my shadow. And maybe now we get to practice the concepts that we are studying together. So maybe my anxiety was in my shadow, and maybe the anxiety kind of manifested, or the shadow came closer to the ego consciousness, okay? And then something happened. I clicked in something that I couldn't find. And then, okay, the PowerPoint presentation is like that and now in full screen. So it's an example how the shadow, for instance, or actually any other complex can constellate, can come to the to the consciousness, and I say kick the door of the consciousness and take place. So when the complex shadow or any other complex, like the inner child, for instance, takes a hold of consciousness, then everything that I'm going to perceive is going to be perceived or felt by that complex. And I think that it's my ego consciousness that in command, but actually it's not at that moment. So what we have to do is to know ourselves as much as we can, our complexes, our personal dynamics, psychic dynamics, so that we can analyze ourselves, right? And understand which perspective I'm looking at something. So when I'm talking about life, right? To come to this point, it was just an example that I wanted to give you. If I am thinking about life together with you all, but reading the teachings of Joanna de Angelis, as I told in the beginning, we are receiving input from higher realms, higher spiritual dimensions connected to our collective and to the collective unconscious, right, of all of us. So what happens is that, okay, we are reflecting about life, but I, in my country, in my age, in my own personal development, have some perspective of life, and I want to expand this perspective of life. So right here, right now, to understand what the mentor is trying to tell us. For instance, I have to, well, work with my shadow, understand that maybe I was anxious and it was in the shadow, integrate, that's cool, it can happen, all of us, to any of us, and go on. And when we integrate, we are again in our ego consciousness, in this the consciousness of this moment in time, and then this consciousness can okay, calm down, because we are kind of, okay, have this inner work. It's inner journey, the meeting that we are studying beginning this year. And then I can, wow, calm down, connect with the mentor again, and try to broaden or expand my understanding of life. And then the insights and then the intuitions come. And so this is little by little, okay? So that's why I strongly advise you to go ahead and look again to the PowerPoint, or go ahead to the Burnout Society when Fabricius put this meeting there, the recording of the meeting, and then look again and think again. Wow, then intuitions and things like that come, as we are doing right now. So, that was an explanation, and a very practical one, because it's happening here. We are all students and teachers at the same time, because we are all receiving inputs and intuitions at this very moment. So let's go back. And then Joanna says the definition of life differs depending on prevailing philosophical perspectives or scientific approaches, as each individual bases their interpretation on distinct cultural foundations. Okay, not only our cultural foundations, but also our, just expanding a little bit on what John is asking us to pay attention, our own personal perspective, right? Let's go ahead. So, but here she wanted to talk about the collective. But let's just connect the individual and the collective, the ego and the self, and our higher self, okay? So Joanna says that mechanists assert that life arose exclusively through physical chemical processes. Vitalists believe in the existence of a vital principle responsible for converting inert matter into living or dynamic forms. Dialectical materialism, however, posits that life originated within a system characterized by constant change, where various components interact and supersede one another, and in which no phenomena exist in isolation. Rather, all elements are interconnected. Spiritualism is founded on the principle of a transcendent being who serves as both creator and sustainer. This being imparts limitless development in both scope and nature, guiding existence toward a state of perfection. Biologists state that life arises from cellular organization, with sophisticated aggregations forming distinct organs, systems, and functions that are individually delineated. Philosophers articulate various formulations informed by their experiential and cultural background, aligning with the traditions of the school to which they are affiliated. Nevertheless, says Joanna, this alignment is confined to the period spanning from the cradle to the grave. Artists, depending on their chosen discipline, seek to express concepts through beauty and grandeur, either by replicating or interpreting them. Their approach varies according to their individual psychological makeup, which influences whether the manifestation is one of admiration or critique. So, consequently, each individual will interpret and define life based on their personal understanding, that's what I was talking about, emotional outlook, I was giving my personal example, for instance, and cultural background, resulting in concepts that align with their unique perspective. Simultaneously, she says, life is the exceptional artist who renders each leaf with distinct contours, ensuring no pattern is repeated, much like the uniqueness of fingerprints among individuals. Through refined technique, this artist's life imparts color and luminosity to plants, birds, and various living creatures, enhancing nature with diverse and exquisite displays that are truly unparalleled. Life is an incomparable physicist that manipulates every energy field, progressively enabling humanity to understand and access its miracles, now open to numerous areas of advanced study that dazzle even the sharpest minds. Life originates from the interaction between protoplasm and solar energy, leading to fragmentation and extensive multiplication, ensuring that all terrestrial organisms have their unique origin. This dynamic process is so robust that even simple roots growing in minor fissures can gradually complete their development by penetrating rock formations. Look how strong is life, right? Life is an incomparable, oops, sorry, this I have already seen. In human beings, the body demonstrates both resilience and vulnerability. Its biological framework is equipped to withstand varying atmospheric pressures and significant physical impacts. However, it remains susceptible to even minor injuries, such as pinprick, which, if infected, could result in severe consequences, even death. Similarly, a small cut can cause significant blood loss if a fibrin clot does not form adequately. Even a common case of influenza can significantly impact a person, and the health can deteriorate or improve under the influence of mental resilience and willpower, supported by essential factors such as adequate oxygenation, hydration, and love. This is not only romantic, it's kind of a little romantic. I like it myself. But it's also people, a lot of scientific research are saying this book is from 1997, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of scientific research from, the past 20 years have are actually saying that it's correct what Joanna told Divaldo so many decades ago, okay? That really our mental resilience, our willpower support, this and actually influence our physical and mental health, right? So, and all of this helped a lot, and also spirituality and religion, that it's things that I myself research in this field, in psychiatry and other specialties in medicine. They are proving that it's correct what Jonas said so many years ago. that they influence the outcome of diseases, and they help people. They influence the outcome, and also they help people to get healthier. Okay, this is scientific data. It's not, only something that it's wow, that's so cool. Yes, we can think that it's really cool. It is a spirituality. It is coming from higher realms, but our science is getting there, and it's proven. Okay, so that's very important for many people to listen. So in the incomparable and non-dimension, let me just go here and say, yeah, okay, so we are correct. So I think this sentence is so beautiful when Joanna closes, this chapter. Just imagine that, people, because imagination is creation, and it's light to the psyche. It's a psychic power, let's say, that we have, and a spiritual power to co-create our reality. It's not something from, just our inner child or something childish. Oh, I'm imagining this or that. No, this has imagination, has strength, is the way that the psyche communicates. We can see that in dreams, and we are going to be seeing a lot of this during this year and these meetings, okay? So just imagine, just feel this sentence by the spiritual teacher, by our loving Joanna de Angelis. So she says, the incomparable and non-dimensional ocean of life. It's not only the material part of life, it's also the spiritual, the mental, the psychic, right? The emotional, okay? The different bodies that we are made of, not only, and in spiritist knowledge, we have the perispirit, the subtle body. So all of our dimensions, spiritual, mental, emotional, the subtle body, astral body, as if you want. So, and many others that we know are with us at this moment, that are part of this non-dimensional dimension, let's say. It's a kind of a paradox, non-dimensional part of life. But Joanna, let's go back. In the incomparable and non-dimensional ocean of life, we live under laws that have set the essential guidelines for the happiness awaiting everyone, and which is the exceptional destiny for which life manifests in the world. That is perfection. Okay, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful sentence, a very inspiring sentence for all of us. So, of course, I had to bring to you, many of you already know, but I brought the whole question and answer in Allan Kardec's The Spirit's book. So, for people that haven't seen it yet or read, please go there and read, because it's wonderful teachings. And many of us at least know question 540. And when Kardec asked the spirits that were helping him, with the teachings that are now part of the spiritist knowledge, Kardec asked the spirits, do the spirits who act upon the phenomena of nature do so with full awareness and in virtue of their free will, or out of an instinctive and unreasoning impulse? And then the spirits answer. That was in the 19th century, people, in the middle of the 19th century. So imagine that when we didn't even understand quantum physics and things like that, psychology was starting to be developed by Freud. Jung was being born in some years later than that. So, what was going on at that moment? Look at the answer of the spirits. Some in one way, others in the other. Let us make comparison. Consider the myriads of animals that little by little build up islands and archipelagos in the oceans. Do you believe that there is no providential purpose in this, and that this transformation of the surface of the globe is not necessary for its overall harmony? Yet, all this is accomplished by animals of the lowest degree, while they are providing for their own needs and without perceiving that they are God's instruments. In the same way, the least advanced spirits are useful to the general whole. While preparing for life, and before having full awareness of their acts and free will, they act upon certain phenomena in which they are unwitting agents. And then Kardec says, at first they execute. Later, when their intelligence is more developed, they command and direct the matters of the material world. Still later, they direct the things of the moral world. Hence, everything is useful. Everything in nature is linked together, from the primitive atom to the archangel, who also began as only an atom. An admirable law of harmony, which your limited minds cannot yet grasp in its entirety. So look at the answer of the spirits. How beautiful. And how can we connect, all the in this answer, we can imagine they knew we were getting to this point of the transition of the planet to higher vibrations, to a higher consciousness, and that we would understand more than 140, 150 years later of this answer. Beautiful, beautiful, full of different knowledges, that we would understand that all is evolution, that from the primitive atom to the archangel, who also began as only an atom, an admirable love of harmony, which you are limited yet, but we are getting that, not in the archangels, I think, of course, in the regenerated world that we are going towards, but our minds are still limited to many things, and we cannot yet grasp in its entirety this harmony, this creation. Now I brought a little bit about Jung, and I would ask you, we have only a few minutes in the end now, and we are going to Q and questions and answers, to practice a little bit what we are going to be doing today. If you can, many of you already know this dialogue. It's a dialogue of Jung and his soul, when after he breaks up with Freud and he's in that crisis. In the beginning, I think it's the first year of our study group, I already brought this dialogue, but now I wanted to do something different. If you can, not people that are driving, right, Fabrizio, please, but people that are at home and are able to, if you can close your eyes, and if you can connect to Jung's soul, to Jung's spirit, wherever he is, and connect with him and think that we in this inner journey are doing the same thing that Jung and so many brothers and sisters have been doing during their lifetime here on earth in this still very material world. Okay? So if you can, just close your eyes and connect to that and imagine this dialogue between Jung or even ourselves with our souls. So Jung says that, my soul, where are you? Do you hear me? I speak. I call you. Are you there? I have returned. I'm here again. I have shaken the dust of all the lands from my feet, and I have come to you. I am with you. After long years of long wandering, I have come to you again. Should I tell you everything I have seen, experienced, and drunk in? Or do you not want to hear about all the noise of life and the world? But one thing you must know. The one thing I have learned is that one must live this life. The life is the way, the long sought after way to the unfathomable, which we call divine. There is no other way. All the other ways are false paths. I found the right way. It led me to you, to my soul. I return tempered and purified. Do you still know me? How long the separation lasted? Everything has become so different. And how did I find you? How strange my journey was. What words shall I use to tell you on what twisted paths a good star has guided me to you? Give me your hand, my almost forgotten soul. How warm the joy at seeing you again, you long disavowed soul. Life has led me back to you. Let us thank life, the life I have lived, for all the happy and all the sad hours, for every joy, for every sadness. My soul, my journey should continue with you. I will wander with you and ascend to my solitude. This is Jung in the Red Book. And to finish this presentation, I wanted to tell you, now if you want to open your eyes, a beautiful sentence by Jung in notes of the seminar given in 1930 and 1934. It's volume 1, that's called Visions. And Jung says, for what is more precious than life to a living creature? If one lives only a half or a third of life, what is the use of living? Life only has meaning when it is really lived. Otherwise, it is like a pear tree that blossoms every spring and never brings forth a pear. You remember Christ, sorry, himself condemned that which bears no fruit when he cursed the barren fig tree. People who live sterile lives are like that fig tree. They do not fulfill the will of the Lord. If they want to live, they must live with the whole of their being. So, see, Fabrizio, that's because it's the end. Then I got the full screen. So, okay, people, the shadow left us with this example. The screen is full. This is the last paragraph the last quote by Jung. And I will just stop sharing the PowerPoint presentation and we go for Q&As. With you, back to you, Fabrizio.
Thank you, Anahy. So, for those that want to share your reflections or insights or make a question, can you raise your Zoom hand, please? Any questions? Anyone?
I
Did
will
we?
suggest, Fabrizio, I will suggest after Anne and someone else that wants to say, because we are recording and maybe some people would like to make a question but not be recorded, and we have like 20 minutes, right? So we can do, if you'd like, 10 minutes of questions that can be recorded and leave the last 10 minutes for people who would not like to be recorded. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Anna?
Yes, thank you, Anahy. I think it's a really interesting topic that you brought today to stop and think about what is the meaning of life, what is life for us. But I like very much that our perception of what is life will be colored by the glasses or the lenses of what we carry within. And I think that I don't have a question as such, but I just want to thank you for bringing this reflection to help us think that sometimes it's like you were saying before, it's not just about the intellectual accumulation of knowledge, but of how this comes into us and makes a difference in our daily lives of how we understand ourselves and the world around us. And that is living it. And I think I felt it very strong today here. And I just wanted to thank you. And so, obviously, for me, the topic of the week for my reflection is what is what does life mean to me with my glasses, really, rather than just repeating what Joanna says, but trying to say, to look at myself in the mirror, what do I think? How do I perceive it? Because that's revealing my true self, if you like. Not right or wrong, but what is.
Yeah, and thank you so much for we have been exchanging a lot of ideas because we work together as Joanna's teachers, let's say, and trying to study together. And one of the things I always try to do, as I did today, because I understand when we are connected, for instance, everybody who knows me knows that I'm not very comfortable with technology. There's some always, not because of only my age, but even, always something is going on and you click in a button or this and that. And people are very, wow, my goodness, now AI and wow, everybody is worried about that. But there is something. AI is artificial intelligence. Even if we feed it, and it, of course, is going to make connections in a way, and it's a beautiful instrument to bring to us, right? Very quick knowledge and concept of putting things together, but it will never. It's not human, right? Doesn't have a soul. So I don't think a lot of people nowadays, especially people that are with a very materialistic perspective of life, right? they get so scared with all this kind of stuff. And, they are caught in fearful news and this and that, or I'm losing my job, or I will not be able to do this and that. But people, we are immortal beings, we are spirits, it's our origin. So anything that we can do in the material world is going to be in the material world. And we are taking to the higher dimensions, the spiritual dimensions, everything that we gather as in moral values, in experience, in even intelligence, things like that, especially the higher emotions, right, and feelings. We were talking about that in the beautiful congress that Fabricio, Andres, and Bob, and all the others, Gelson, put together in London last year, and that we, as people from Portugal said, are going to try to live up to the same standard in Portugal. So the thing is that, and if we get stuck in, wow, I don't like, this, all this stuff. Yeah, but for instance, the technology and all this stuff. But okay, that's part of myself. It's just an example. And well, but I have to deal with that and makes life so. If I could be with people hugging, Brazilians love to hug and kiss, that, and hugging everybody and talking face to face, life would be so good, so wonderful. But I have to like surf the wave of life. We have technology, and of course, the younger people deal much better with that. We do the best we can, but we also, if we are really connected, trying to discipline our egos and trying to connect with something that is within all of us, that it's a higher consciousness, Jung's concept of the self, that Joanna says that it's our spirit. Then, of course, when something happens here in the material world, for instance, what happened today? Well, I wasn't able, for whatever reason, to put the full screen presentation of the PowerPoint. At the same time that I'm working with my complexes, shadows, or whatever, I am really practicing what you said, and practicing in the now. Joanna doesn't want us to get so intellectual. We have to watch out for this kind of, wow, now I know the teachings of Joanna, they are so difficult, so psychological, so highly advanced, spiritually speaking. No, no, no. She wants us to be very practical, as Anne was saying. What can I do now? So I was, at the same time that I was doing the inner work with my complex, I was asking her for help. And it's not that I was conscious about that. It's all when we do previously to this study, right? I think you do the same thing in your podcasts and study groups and things like that. And then I simply understand what's going on. So life, instead of being very hard because I have to deal with all this technology, is okay, cool. So now the shadow is constellated. That's the lesson, right? Oh, it's not going to be so perfect in the recording, whatever, right, Fabrizio? Because people that are going to be listening will at least understand that we are not celebrities. We are not, wow, doctor, this and that, or this or that person. No, we have a personality. We are something in this life, but it's something in this life, this personality, that it's for our living here and learning. And it's a part of us, and actually a very small part of us, because our spirit has had so many incarnations, right? That we are much more than this. So thanks so much, and because I agree with you, what really is important is our experience, how it helps me to live challenges. Today was a challenge, for instance, for me at least, maybe for Fabrice, that we are here trying to do our best. But it's a challenge that it's very practical if you are connected. Okay, so what's the meaning of this? And what we have to remember that I said in the beginning, we are a small collective here. We are helping each other and we are learning with each other. And each one of you can have an inspiration that said, Anahy, when you said that, oh, Anne, when we said that, when Fabrizio said that, Isabel said that, right? It came to my mind this and that. So thank you so much, Anne, because I think that's very important, at least for the first meeting, that people understand that it's much more practical than intellectual. Sorry about that. I think somebody raised, thanks so much, Andy.
Thank you,
Fabrizio, I think
Anahy. So,
somebody,
yeah, what I'm going to do,
yes,
I'm going to stop the recording. So I will say thank you, everyone, for listening. Stay there, the ones there with us. I'm just going to finish the recording for the ones that will be watching later on. Thanks for being with us. Bye for now.